Imagine the absolute worst-case scenario. You are miles away from civilization, completely isolated, and a sudden, catastrophic accident leaves you physically trapped. There is no cell phone signal, no human help coming, and the elements are slowly turning against you. Your only companion in this desolate place is your dog. The cynical human mind, governed by logic and evolutionary selfishness, assumes that eventually, when blinding hunger and freezing temperatures set in, the animal's primal instinct for self-preservation will take over. We assume they will abandon you to save themselves, reverting to the wild wolves they once were. But canine evolutionary biology tells a completely different, almost unbelievable story. When a dog's primary attachment figure is in extreme distress, their brain literally rewires itself in real time. The deeply ingrained biological instinct to survive is aggressively suppressed by a powerful neurological phenomenon known as hyperattachment. Today we are going to decode the extreme psychology of the canine mind in life-or-death survival situations. We will explore exactly what happens to their neurochemistry when you are facing the very end, and why, biologically, they simply cannot leave you behind. Prepare to understand the true weight of the phrase "man's best friend," because the science of their loyalty is terrifyingly beautiful. The canyon trap and the scent of fear. Let's examine a scenario of extreme, sudden isolation. Imagine an adventurer named Aaron. He is hiking deep into a remote, jagged, and unforgiving canyon with his dog. Suddenly, the earth gives way. A massive rock shift occurs, pinning him completely beneath an unmovable boulder. The pain is blinding, but the panic is instantaneous. In a human body, extreme physical trauma and sudden, paralyzing fear cause the adrenal glands to dump massive, toxic amounts of cortisol and adrenaline into the bloodstream. You cannot hide this invisible explosion from your dog. Within milliseconds, your dog's Jacobson's organ, a highly specialized cluster of sensory cells located in the roof of their mouth and nasal cavity, detects the microscopic chemical shift in your sweat, your tears, and your frantic breath. They don't just look at you and see that you are trapped. They biologically inhale your terror. In a normal wild animal, smelling this level of extreme panic triggers an immediate flight response. The wild brain says, "Danger is here, run away." But domestic dogs possess a mutated genetic sequence, specifically the WBSCR17 gene, which is responsible for their hypersociability. Instead of fleeing the canyon to save their own life, the overwhelming smell of your trauma triggers a massive, counter-intuitive release of oxytocin in the dog's brain. This hormone forcibly overrides their panic, essentially anchoring them to your physical location. They will pace around you, frantically dig at the solid rocks until their paws bleed, and completely refuse to leave your physical perimeter, even if a clear, safe escape route is wide open right in front of them. The Guardian Trance. Nightfall and predators. As the sun sets in that isolated canyon, a new, much darker psychological phase begins. The temperature drops, and the scent of human blood and sweat begins to attract opportunistic predators, coyotes, wolves, or mountain lions. In this moment, your sweet domesticated pet undergoes a severe psychological shift. They enter what behaviorists call the Guardian Trance. Because you are immobilized, the dog realizes that the hierarchy of the pack has completely collapsed. You are no longer the protector. You are the vulnerable prey. Their brain shifts from a state of frantic anxiety to hyper-focused, lethal defense. Their pupils dilate to let in maximum moonlight. Their ears pivot like radar dishes, mapping the canyon for the slightest rustle of brush. Even if your dog is a friendly golden retriever or a small terrier, the primal wolf DNA buried deep in their cerebral cortex activates. They will position their body between your head and the open wilderness. If a predator approaches, your dog will not back down. They will unleash a low, guttural growl that vibrates from their chest, a sound you have likely never heard them make in the comfort of your living room. They are entirely prepared to engage in a fight to the death against a much larger predator, willingly sacrificing their own life to ensure nothing touches you while you are defenseless. The loyalty protocol and starvation psychology. As hours turn into agonizing days in that canyon, the harsh biological reality of starvation begins to set in. A human brain panics violently when deprived of calories, losing cognitive function rapidly. But a dog's digestive psychology is remarkably built for famine. Their ancient ancestors were scavengers who routinely survived for days, sometimes weeks, on a single large kill. When your dog realizes you are immobile and rescue is not coming immediately, their brain enters a highly efficient metabolic state called the loyalty protocol. Their heart rate intentionally drops to conserve precious energy. Their digestive system slows to an absolute crawl. But most fascinating of all is their psychological focal point. A wild animal, driven by hunger, would eventually leave the canyon to forage or hunt, but your dog will actively suppress the screaming urge to find food. Why? Because the psychological distress of abandoning their pack leader causes significantly more neurological pain in their brain than an empty stomach does. They will endure blinding, agonizing hunger simply to maintain physical contact with you. They will lie across your chest or rest their chin right next to your face, offering the absolute last resource they have left, their physical presence and their warmth. The deep freeze, the expedition survival. Now, let's completely shift the environment from an arid, rocky canyon to an extreme, deadly deep freeze. Imagine a scenario mirroring the legendary punishing polar expeditions of the past. An explorer, let's call him Sir Maz, is leading a desperate expedition across the brutal, unforgiving, and freezing wasteland of the Antarctic. A sudden, violent blizzard strikes out of nowhere, completely separating him from his team and his supplies, leaving him stranded in sub-zero temperatures, with nothing but his loyal sled dogs. When a human body temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, severe hypothermia sets in. The human body violently shivers, the blood retreats to the core, the extremities freeze, and eventually, total organ failure begins. But dogs, especially breeds with Spitz heritage like Huskies or Malamutes, are thermal marvels of nature. Their paws possess a miraculous countercurrent heat exchange system, where warm arterial blood instantly heats the freezing venous blood returning from their feet, preventing frostbite on the ice. They possess a dense, double-layered coat that completely traps a microclimate of warm air against their skin, allowing them to sleep comfortably in a snowdrift. But it's what they choose to do with this biological heat that defies all logical rules of survival. In the pitch-black Antarctic freeze, when a dog's keen senses detect that their owner's core temperature is rapidly dropping to lethal levels, they do not curl up alone to preserve their own warmth. Their intense pack mentality triggers a desperate swarm and cover instinct. They will actively drape their heavy bodies over the explorer's vital organs, smothering the chest, the neck, and the groin. They willingly drain their own meticulously preserved body heat, rapidly transferring it to the freezing human. They will risk their own hypothermic death to act as a living, breathing, biological thermal blanket. Cardiac synchronization and the auditory anchor. Whether trapped under the crushing weight of a canyon rock or freezing in the absolute zero of the Antarctic ice, the final stage of the survival bond is the most emotionally devastating. It is a biological phenomenon known as cardiac synchronization. Clinical studies have proven that when a dog and their bonded owner are in close, prolonged physical proximity, their heart rates naturally align. In a dire survival situation, if the human's heart rate begins to slow down dangerously due to physical shock, blood loss, or extreme cold, the dog resting against their chest will subconsciously alter their own breathing pattern to match. They listen to the fading thud of your heart, and they use their own body rhythm to try and stabilize yours. They are attempting, through sheer biological will, to anchor the human to life. When search and rescue teams finally locate people who have been trapped in the wilderness for days, they almost always report the exact same heartbreaking scene. A dog, severely dehydrated, starving, or half frozen, aggressively defending the broken body of its owner. They did not leave to find water. They did not leave to find food. They stayed because, in the complex, beautiful, and profoundly heartbreaking wiring of the canine mind, a life without their human simply isn't a life worth surviving for. If you are ready to stop guessing and start truly decoding the incredible mind of your dog, hit subscribe. Welcome to Canaloon. We'll see you in the next deep dive.